like to call the January 2nd, 2019 Board of Selectmen's meeting to order at 6:30. Before we start the agenda, I would like to read a statement regarding Town Manager Becky Merrow. On December 27th, 2018, I announced that the Board of Selectmen has decided to place Town Manager Becky Merrow on paid administrative leave effective that date. She will remain on administrative leave pending a further review of her job performance. Fire Chief James Pinio has agreed to serve as acting town manager during her absence. The decision to place Ms. Merrow on administrative leave was not made lightly. The board met on December 10th, 12th, 16th, 18th, 19th, 20th, and 23rd to evaluate and discuss her job performance and to consider what actions would serve the town's best interest. The board engaged the services of a labor lawyer to ensure that both the board acted in a manner that was lawful and respectful of Ms. Merrow's rights. It is unfortunate that some people have chosen to engage in speculation and to disseminate misinformation. This is a personnel matter. The town is limited in its ability to publicly discuss this matter, but will keep the public informed as circumstances permit. Prior to addressing the issues on the public agenda, I would welcome a motion that Fire Chief James Pinio be appointed as acting town manager effective January 2nd, 2019.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All righty. Let's move on to the agenda. Non-public, we need to go on into non-public under 91A:32C. All righty. We will start on our long list of minutes. First set of minutes, November 26, 2018. Does anybody have any changes? I have a couple. On page 7, under monthly budget expense, second line, she states we are higher. Highly needs to be changed to higher. On page 11, the last sentence at the end, it should read, the summer day camp program instead of daycare. And under a ski area groomer, after it says in the Abenaki ski area, capital reserve needs to be added. Does anybody else have any changes or corrections? Hearing none, can I have a motion to accept as amended?
So move. Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
November 28th, anybody have any corrections or changes? Hearing none, can I have a motion to accept as written?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, next is December 5th. Does anybody have any corrections or changes?
I have one.
Sure.
On page 14,
Okay.
right about in the middle of the page, states, Mr. Harriman stated NHDOT will prepare a detailed report. I'd like to add the word budget in between detailed and report.
Okay.
And also on the next line down, between detailed and report, insert the word budget in there.
Does anybody else have any corrections or changes? Hearing none, can I have a motion to accept as amended?
So moved.
Do I have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next one is December 10th. Anybody have any corrections, changes? Hearing none. All those in favor? Oops, I need a motion. Yep. Can I have ready to get these through. Can I have a motion to accept?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? All righty. Next one is the December 12th work session minutes. Does anybody have any changes or corrections?
I have one.
Okay,
Page 5, fourth line down, Mr. O'Brien stated our auditor is not part of that. Correct. Should we just put a question mark?
okay,
Thank you.
all righty. I have a change on page 7, and it is the second paragraph up from the work session ended at 9:05:25, and it is the first, it's the second sentence. It should read, she asked if they are breaking any DRA rules by not including expenses in capital reserve warrant articles. And that's how that should be changed. Does anybody else have any corrections or changes? Hearing none, can I have a motion?
Move to approve as amended.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Now we have the special meeting that took place on December 12th. Does anybody have any corrections or changes? Hearing none, can I have a motion to accept as written?
So move.
Do I have a second? Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Next one is December 18th.
The 12th. Number 19th.
I have 18th. There's an 18th. There are two, there was a revised agenda.
I guess I didn't get that.
Does everybody have the December 18th minutes? Okay.
Oh, but I'll vote for it anyway. Okay.
That's 10. No?
No?
No.
There was a revised agenda and minutes, I guess, put in. So does somebody want, do we want to table the 18th if we don't have them?
Just pass it down. It's only a few sentences.
Yeah, I got them on the back of the agenda here.
Does anybody want to look at it? It's a very simple.
Single one from the page.
Oh, stand by. Oh, I did have it, I'm sorry. I'm okay with it.
Are we ready to vote on them, or would you like to table them?
You can deal with it.
I'll make a motion, we approve them as written.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Next set of minutes, December 19th. And I have a few changes. On page 4, under C, second paragraph under C at the end, an updated copy with 2019 cost figures. I want added to that. Okay, and on page 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paragraph down, it should say, Chairman Murray stated it is going to be the same as last year, that the trail comes into an I-8 park and then goes down into or onto the lake, not the docks. Those are the only changes I have. Does anybody else have any changes? Brad?
Yeah, I got one, too, the same page, the very top paragraph. Wanted to add sentence onto the end of the sentences there. He noted that the existing diagonal spaces were being used as parallel spaces last winter.
Okay. Does anybody else have any corrections or changes? Hearing none, can I have a motion to accept as amended?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I'll second it. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next one is the December 20th public minutes. Does anybody have any corrections or changes? Hearing none, can I have a motion to accept as written?
So move.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Okay, opposed, none. Okay, December 23rd. Does anybody have any corrections or additions? Hearing none, can I have a motion to accept as written?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Minutes are done.
Amen.
Okay. I'd like to open up the first public hearing. It is the New Hampshire Boat Museum to hold the 11th Wolfeboro Vintage Race Boat Regatta on September 12th through the 14th, 2019, from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Town Docks, Parking Lot, Kate Park, and Wolfeboro Community Bandstand. State your name for the record and give us a little information.
Bill Markison with the Wolfeboro Vintage Raceboat Regatta. I think the application presents what we're seeking to do fairly well. We're looking to do the same thing that we did 2 years ago in terms of timing, use of facilities, and access to the town docks parking lot, et cetera.
Okay. I had a couple of, anybody like to speak to this public hearing? Anybody else? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. I had two comments. One, when I was looking at the map, the town moved the electric boat to this spot here.
Okay.
Okay, and Barry's right behind you, and he might be able to park it somewheres or do something else during those days, but get in contact with him so we don't have an issue in that space. And I don't know whether he can or can't. And I don't see a copy of your insurance.
I'm sorry?
I didn't see a copy of your insurance, did you?
No, as in the past, the insurance gets renewed between now and then, and we provided a certificate of insurance. I want to say it's around May or June when the policy renews, and we provide it to the town manager's secretary.
Okay,
If you would like a copy of the current certificate that won't be active in September, we can certainly have that sent on.
Ward,
As long as we get it prior to the event.
get it later. That's what, I think that's fine. We'll just send the letter contingent, your permit will be contingent on you getting us that insurance. Does anybody else have any comments? It also says you need 2 officers for details. You usually have officers.
That, I believe, is a new requirement from 2 years ago, but with the ACBS events last year, we're familiar with that
You're okay
requirement as
doing
well.
that?
Yes.
Okay. Does any other board members have any questions or concerns? Hearing none, can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the New Hampshire Boat Museum to hold the 11th Wolfeboro Vintage Race Boat Regatta on September 12th to the 14th, 2019, from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. the Town Docks Parking Lot, Cape Park, and Wolfeboro Community Bandstand, contingent upon receiving an updated certificate of insurance.
Second?
Okay, I've got a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? You have that permit.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi. If you want to contact me in advance.
I'd like to open up the next public hearing. It's the New England Chapter Antique and Classic Boat Society hold a boat show on July 27th, 2019, from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Town Docks Parking Lot, Cape Park, and the Wolfeboro Community Bandstand. Can you just state your name and give us a little information about this?
Scott Robinson. I'm the president chapter of the Antique and Classic Boat Society New England chapter. And for the last 3 years, we've held the event in Wolfeboro and had a great time, and I think the public has had a great time. And we haven't had any issues except lots of people coming. And this past year, we had a great time giving kids rides for the very first time, their first ride in a wooden boat. So we hope to carry that on for this year.
Oh, nice. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak to this public hearing? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Board members, does anybody have any questions, comments? I see again on this application that they are saying that you need 2 police officers. So if you can get in touch. And again, there's no insurance policy.
Right here.
Okay.
We always,
Bingo.
Bingo, that does it.
Oh, no, we need to know.
Okay, and you'll get us an updated one before the events. Okay.
Unbingo.
We'll make the motion contingent on that. Can I have any further discussion? Can I have a motion?
I'll move to approve the New England Chapter Antique and Classic Boat Society to hold a boat show on July 27th, 2019, from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Town Docks, Parking Lot, Cape Park, and Wolfeboro Community Bandstand, subject to updating their insurance for 2019.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? You have your permit.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to open up the next public hearing. It's the Morning Star Lodge 17 Race Hopper Race LLC to hold trail running race on July 6, 2019, from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Abenaki.
Hi. Excuse me. My name is Richard Neal. I'm representing the Masons at Morning Star Lodge. The last 2 years, we've attempted to hold races at Abenaki for 3 consecutive Thursday evenings, which turned out to be a lot of fun, but not all that productive. So we're going to try and have one on a Saturday morning at the same place, the same trail. I believe there have been no complaints about how we've left the place after we've been there. I could read this sheet that I gave you, but basically there's going to be a running race, a walking race, and they want to have some race with people in having their dogs on leashes, with the understanding that we would police the area and make sure there are no leftovers from the dog racers. In the years past, we've had insurance, and the race director assured me that we could get that and get a copy to you within the next couple of weeks, certainly well before the July date.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to speak to this public hearing? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Board members, do you have any questions or concerns?
No.
Hearing none, can I have a motion?
I'll move approval of Morning Star Lodge 17 Race Hopper Race LLC to hold a trail running race on July 6, 2019, from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Abenaki Ski Area.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? You have your permit.
Thank you.
All righty, the next item on the agenda is the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation North New England chapter to hold a walk on May 18th, 2019 from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. starts and ends at Falls Field.
My name is Mark Foynes. I am the co-chair of the Wolfeboro Cystic Fibrosis Walk. This would be our 8th year doing the event here in Wolfeboro. We have no proposed changes to what we've done in the past. From a logistical standpoint, my wife, who's my co-chair, we arrive around 7:30, 7:45. We set up. We get Bradley's to donate the use of their barbecue grill. We get donated hot dogs. People arrive around 9 o'clock. The walk itself begins at 10, and our route will be unchanged from last year. We walk along Back Bay from Foss Field out to Center Street, up Crescent Street, up South Main Street, and then we double back around from the train station, and we get back together at Foss Field, and we have a few hot dogs. We clean up. I think that we've been good stewards of the site. It's a wonderful site for a very family-oriented event because of the proximity of the playground. So it's a safe place. It's an enclosed place. And since 2011, we've raised $100,000 to raise. We've raised $100,000 to find a cure for cystic fibrosis. And our skin in the game is our little girl, who in a couple of years she'll be attending Kingswood Middle. We're from New Durham, but we originally were doing the event in Concord, and we realized that all of the people who were coming were from Wolfeboro, New Durham, Alton, and we said, why are we making these people drive all the way to Concord when we have a lovely place nearby?
Great, thank you for explaining that to us. Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to speak to this permit? Hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Board members, does anybody have any questions or concerns? The only thing I noted is that your insurance runs out the 1st of 2019. As soon as you get a new certificate, will you please give it to us before the race?
Yes.
Board members, any other questions? If not, can I have a motion contingent on the insurance?
I'll make a motion to approve the approval for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation North New England chapter to hold a walk on May 18th, 2019, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Starts and ends at Foss Field, contingent upon an updated certificate of insurance.
Second, okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? You have your permit.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I'd like to open up the next public hearing, and I'm going to read the notice because it is a proposed bond issues over $100,000. A public hearing will be held by the Wolfeboro Board of Selectmen as required by RSA 33:8-A and RSA 40:13 at 6:35 p.m. on Wednesday, January 2nd, 2019, in the Wolfeboro Town Hall Great Hall, 84 South Main Street, Wolfeboro, New Hampshire, to receive comments on the proposed 2019 bond issue over $100,000. A, for the 2019 bond issue not to exceed the amount of $3,675,000 for the purpose of constructing new 12 12.47 kV substation and distribution conversion from 4 kV to 12.47 kV on Forest Road, North Main Street, and surrounding areas, and constructing the new 34.5 kV substation and feeder at the former substation. Complete copies of the proposed bond issue warrant article may be obtained at the town manager's office, Wolfeboro, New Hampshire, 84 South Main Street, Wolfeboro, New Hampshire. It was posted in the library on December 20th on the town hall and on the town website. Do I have anybody who would like to speak to this public hearing? Just state your name for the record.
Hi, good evening. Paul Whalen, 79 Glendon Street. No secret, I've been in front of you before a few times in opposing the power substation. Again, I wanted to kind of acknowledge that the great work that Barry does do with the electric department and recognize the job he's doing bringing these improvements forward, and also recognize it's your job to balance these improvements and the character, the optics, safety of the citizens of the town. I also appreciate Barry reaching out to me a couple of weeks ago to attend your December 19th meeting where he responded to all my concerns that I had presented back in August of 15. Did a lot of work, did a great presentation, and even included an alternative site at the end of the parking lot, which I guess we all decided wasn't going to work. So I certainly appreciate those efforts. And then what has come out of what was proposed is using solid fencing, more mature trees, a more modern, quieter equipment to soften the impact of the power substation. However, we are still putting lipstick on a pig. So there is a petition going around that I need to forward to, I guess, the Acton Town manager. I see some of the signers are also here tonight. So you've heard a lot from me, but just to kind of recap very quickly, still concerned with health and safety issues, having the power station so close and located in now such a very densely populated area. Remember back when it was there before, it was very industrial. And we did not have a big understanding of the risks associated with those power substations and the wires. I think Barry mentioned last time one of the reasons that we want to separate the substations, one for diversification of distribution, but also because of risk of lightning strike and explosion. 3, he's also commented on that the equipment is quieter, but a constant hum will still be emitted. Anyone that's been down on Back Bay on a quiet summer's night will understand that you can hear the patio conversations coming from across the bay. So there is little question that property values will be negatively impacted. Now I'm speaking market value. I believe on December 19th it was addressed that the assessed value has been modified for a substation. But that's not what the market value and the perception of a substation, negative perception of a substation. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. I again would ask that maybe somehow, whether we can again think about maybe relocating the power substation on Filter Bed Road, maybe moving it closer to town, but certainly keeping it up in the woods where it's much safer than down in the middle of the Glendon Street parking lot. So again, thanks.
Is there anybody else in the audience who'd like to speak to this warrant article?
Hi, I'm Julie Jacobs. I did participate in the facilities chapter of the new master plan that hasn't come out yet. We spoke about this a lot when we were checking out the Laner Street buildings and the area that the town owns around that area. A lot of what we were trying to do is trying to figure out what we should do with the plant, what we should do with that area there. Also the community center, we were tasked with trying to figure it out because it's a mess right now. This did come up several times, and we thought of new ideas what we could do with it, but the biggest thing we said was this little substation doesn't really belong there. It's not really the place for it now. Used to be when the plant was there, but not now.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak?
My name is Kirk Gilmore, 50 Union Street. There's a piece of property just across from the Nick. It's a 33-acre piece of property currently on the market for $299,000 that under the Great Plan recently has been changed from C1, C2 to under the Great Plan. That would be a great place to put something like this. It's surrounded by woods in the 33 acres. It's not visible from any area, but it'd be a great place to look at putting this where you wouldn't have the exposure to the population and the visitors of the town.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak? Suzanne?
Perhaps Suzanne Ryan, perhaps Barry, as department head, could speak to the alternatives that were looked at and price, the difference in price or costs for another alternative. As a taxpayer, I would say I'm not in favor of anything that's going to cost more, and from what the general comments I've heard, it would be exceedingly expensive to do another alternative.
Thank you. Do I have anybody else before I pull up Barry to have him speak? Anybody else? Barry, you want to kind of answer those questions?
Barry Muccio, Director of Operations for the Electric Department. I think we went over a lot of those questions and topics when we met on the 19th. If I could just touch on it again, we looked at a couple other locations. The idea was to try to get our substation closest to where our load was, which is the downtown area. And so therefore, that substation needs to be as close to that load as we can possibly get it. We looked at a couple sites in that general area where it is now that we could kind of hide it a little bit, but unfortunately there's also a lot of environmental issues going on down there that would affect the cost of that tremendously. As well, we'd have to relocate some parking because we would lose parking by relocating it, and that was close to $250,000 more to locate it in that area. The concept of perhaps, I think it was Center Street you mentioned as an alternative spot. Was that the lot you were talking about? Across from the Nick, okay, yeah. Same thing, we talk about extending a 100-foot right-of-way, which is what the 34-5 line lies in for protection from trees, etc. Easements, you know, it'd be almost impossible to break open a new easement there for the number of homeowners and landowners that would be abutting. And the same thing, we wouldn't be any closer to our load, which is what we're trying to accomplish by putting it in the downtown area. So I don't know if I completely hit on the topics, but feel free to ask more if you have anything.
Thank you. Come on up to you got to come up to the microphone so the television can pick it up.
What about moving it like over near the old stump dump, over near where Wickers is? Is it close enough to downtown?
It's the same thing. That whole area has already been converted to 12 kV over there. So what we're trying to do is pick up South Main Street. That's our intent, pick up the South Main Street load. So that would not be closer over there. No.
Does the lines coming in through that way to this substation, would it make any sense to make them go farther out before you broke it up in a substation? Or are you trying to get it back down here in town? You see
Well,
what I
that's
mean?
what we're doing. That line is...
That one would start here and then spread up?
That is the line that comes across the bay. So we have that bay crossing. That's the closest we're going to get to the downtown area. It is, geographically. Years
Okay.
ago, we looked at a lot that was up for sale up near the high school. But again, trying to get easements and run 34.5, we were affecting 10 times more people than we would be in its current location.
And 109A has
so-
already been done from the stump dump?
Yeah, that doesn't help us
Oh,
on
okay.
that side of town. It really doesn't diversify us. what we're
Okay.
looking at, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else in the audience who'd like to speak? If not, I'll close the public hearing, and we'll move on. That will be a warrant article on the 2019 warrant, and everybody will have an opportunity to express their pluses or minuses for that. Okay, next item on the agenda is the bulk vote. We have two manifests that we signed. We have a new Garden Road intent to cut, and we have 3 abatements. Board members, do you have any questions or concerns or anything you'd like to have removed? Hearing nothing, can I have a motion to accept the bulk vote?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All righty. We'll go on to new business. First one is Park and Rec emergency repair to the groomer. Christine, are you here? Ah, there you are. All righty.
Christine Collins, Parks and Rec Director. I think you have the paper in front of me. I wasn't here for that meeting, so I did attach an email to it. Did you see the email? So I think originally you had decided the groomer is like $11,000 fixed, and I think what you decided when I wasn't here is that we would go ahead and purchase a new one and not fix the current one. However, I did reach out to the person who gave us the quote. They're the people who work on our groomer. With the $11,000 fix, it's a 3 to 5 year fix as long as we're doing our daily maintenance. We did reach out to a couple different companies. This is not the time of year to purchase a groomer, and unfortunately the money we have in the account will not be enough to purchase a groomer. So that really can't happen right now. We're running the groomer. It's currently working. However, if anything breaks, we have to shut down Abenaki because we need a groomer in order to keep it safe. So what we're requesting is to use the $11,000, I believe it is around that, from the Capital Reserve Fund to fix it. In the process, we'll be, still putting money into that capital reserve and kind of looking to see. I have a couple of different people working to try to see for the future. Our plan has always been for this groomer to make it last as long as we can until we have to purchase a new one. So that's what we currently have been doing.
Can you explain what kind of repairs you're doing for the groomer? It's still running, but there must be something.
Yeah, it's the way it moves the snow, the handles or whatever, I guess they're pretty loose. So I talked to Kathy today. It's still working, but if one of them goes, then we won't be able to use it. So it's something, they usually come at the beginning of the season, do a maintenance check everything out, and those are the items he came up with. I think that was attached to the list. Unfortunately, I don't have a copy of that.
I can provide you a list of the repairs. It boils down to they're going to have to take the tracks off of the machine on both sides. They've got some arms that need to be replaced on the machine, replace some linkages, replace deck rubber mounts, which would be in the tub of the machine, replace rear lift frame bushings, and repair lift frame so that the tiller on the back auto centers. That's what I have here,
Yep.
based on what you
That's
provided.
correct. So we initially had put in the PO. It was approved. We told the company to go ahead and order, and then it was halted. So I think you have the PO with an invoice, but then we just put everything on hold until we could talk at this meeting.
Yeah,
You go first.
Okay, I just wanted to point out that the first thing I did was go back to the initial warrant article, and it says for the purpose of purchasing or repairing the snow-making equipment, the groomer. So it falls within the definition of the establishment of that capital reserve, and I brought some copies if people want to take a look at it to make sure we were doing what we needed to do. So, board members, Paul, I think you had a question.
Yeah, I did. I apologize, this is from memory. What was the price of the used groomer that you were thinking about, 66,000?
So currently, I think we have about 70,000 in there.
For a used one?
Well, that's what we have in our account. The one, groomer we're actually using now, we bought used. It was a 2001, and they paid 80,000 for it.
But you were going to go get a used one, another one, right?
We're gonna, and that was a used one we got. So we're in the market for looking for used one. It's just a matter of finding the right price line. And right now, nobody can give me an answer to that.
So I'm trying to do a comparison of numbers.
Yeah.
So if you fix the one for 11.5, you spend 6,500 a year for the next 3 years, you're at 32 grand. Versus what? Versus what other expense?
Or that capital reserve?
Yeah. Well, versus would you go out and buy a groomer? If you had to buy a groomer, if this thing completely was
Right.
kaflemt,
Yes.
how much would it cost us?
Looking at it, they're saying between 80 and 90 for a used thousand. So I don't even think we have enough for a used right
So
now.
the comparison, I'm just trying to do the comparison. The comparison is we're going to spend 32,000 versus 80,000. Right? Is that over the next few years? Well, you'd spend 80,000 for a groomer. Would you have to still spend the 6,500 a year?
That's already in. It's something that it's the maintenance of it. So what that is, it's the maintenance that we have in the budget that they come and do all the things they need to do every year.
Which you'd
So
have
we already have that in the budget, so it's nothing extra.
Which you'd have on that $80,000 purchase as well?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, annual maintenance. Okay.
So then really the toggle is 11 versus 80.
Right,
Okay,
right.
got it. Thank you.
Sorry.
Well, I think the other problem that you may have is the availability of one of those machines right now.
Right.
Because they're all being worked on the mountains.
Right.
Dave?
When this goes in for repairs, do they come up to repair it?
Yes.
Do they bring one that we can use while it is being fixed, or is it a matter
No.
of days to be fixed?
I believe it's like a couple of days, so we kind of pick a good time when it happens, so it doesn't impact us too much.
According to the quote that I have in front of me, it's a 20-hour job, so probably 2 days.
Yeah.
Got it.
Good.
Is any other, yep.
I just got a question. Christine, did they make any comment at all about if we do these repairs, would that increase the value of the older machine on the trade-in and down the road? Or?
No, we kind of reached out. We've reached out to a couple companies. They laughed a little bit just as far as like us getting a groomer right now because it's impossible. But they did say they'd probably offer us a couple thousand for our used groomer. So that probably wouldn't be the way we went. I do have feelers out because Friends of Abenaki and all of those people in the world, there's a way we might be able to sell it and get some money, but not what we're thinking, or maybe we can use it towards a trade-in, but I'm not sure how much.
Okay, got it.
Anybody else? To me, it seems like where we are in the season and that it's not a good time to purchase a used groomer. And there is, this does fit within the Warren article, I would be comfortable in doing these repairs, but I hope that you start looking, as you're saying, and get a feeler on and get a price range on, because it's just a matter of time, is what you're telling me.
We actually had it in the budget for the year before, but our groomer was doing okay. So there are feelers out there looking for the right used equipment that we can get, but like I said, when ski season starts, that's not the time to do it. So after this ski season is really when we're like, hey, we're looking before the other big mountains purchase their groomers.
Do you have any other equipment up there that you are kind of holding together?
No, I think we're pretty good. I have a capital reserve and it's outlined, so I think we're pretty good. The groomer is just one big expense that, is hard.
All right, board members, what would you like to do? Does anybody want to do a motion?
Yeah, I would. Is the number we need, the 11,552?
Whatever's on that purchase order, I believe.
Jim, is that what's on the purchase order?
Yeah, that is what is on the purchase order. And I think that based on what I'm seeing, that purchase order, that covers the bulk of the work.
I'll make a motion that we take out 11,552 from the capital reserve account at Abenaki to repair the present groomer.
Second.
I have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All righty.
Thanks, Christine.
Yep. Okay, next item on the agenda is the payment in lieu of tax agreement from Hearthstone Homes. This got signed by mistake the last time we were at the meeting. It was in our packet. I do not see any financials. That's the reason we tabled it. And we were looking at the discount between what they would pay if they paid the full rate of taxes, and we had done 20,000, and that amount of difference went from 3 to 4, and now it's up to 5,000. And the question that I brought last time is whether we should raise the amount that we're asking them to pay. And the reason we wanted their financials was to get some kind of an idea of, what kind of financial shape they're in. I think that we support Hearthstone Homes, which is the Ledges and Christian Ridge, but we also have to be prudent with taxpayers' money. So I don't know how the board feels on this, whether we want to table it again and get that, or whether we want to change the figure and move forward.
What would the new figure be?
I would make it that they would pay 21,000. Bring that down, the difference down 1,000. So in other words, they should be paying $24,999, and it says the pilot payment would be 20,000, and I would be comfortable moving it to 21. And then before we do anything next year, take a look at their financials. I don't know how the rest of you feel.
I'll make that motion to accommodate that.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have any discussion?
Yes.
Yep.
And I agree with you that next year we don't deal with this unless we do have the financials, so we know that we're doing the prudent thing. But this year we all know how much that they do for the town, so.
Okay, so we have a motion to change the 20,000 to 21,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? The motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the payment in lieu of taxes with the New Hampshire Boat Museum. And I did some research on this today. We had received last time what they had paid in a pilot in other years, and I noticed that this agreement had only the tax rate, but last year we had them do the municipal plus the county. So the municipal is $5.98. If we add the county, it's $1.31, so their rate would be $7.29, and the payment would be $8,680.20. I had a conversation with Brenda, and that seemed reasonable to her. I got a call from our assessor at around 5 o'clock tonight, and he felt that the county should be included. He was comfortable if we approve the $8,680.20 that they can revise the agreement and then we could just come in and sign it. So I don't know how the board would like to move forward on this. Or we can table it.
It's consistent in what we've done in the past.
Yes.
So I'd move to,
Having the county in there, yes.
so I'd move to approve it at 8680.20.
Second.
Okay, do I have any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, Jim, I'll give you, oh, you have it, okay. So we'll get a new document signed. Okay, next item is the ASME union contract. You want to take this, Jim? You have been working on getting it straightened out and getting a final draft.
Yeah, I'm just curious, did I miss it? Boat Museum?
That's what we just did.
Oh, okay.
That was the detailed backup.
Yes, I do. So the ASME agreement, there's been a lot of back and forth, basically cleaning up language. It was mostly grammatical and spelling. Received final feedback from the union yesterday and sent that off to Mr. Puffer for final review. He had no issue with it, and I believe we are at a point where everybody is on the same page and is willing to sign the contract.
Okay. Board members, does anybody have any questions and concerns? This is not public input time.
You said, does anybody have concerns?
On the board. This is not public input. You can give us the input at the end when the public has 3 minutes. I'll be a little clearer. Board members, does anybody else have any concerns? If not, is somebody willing to make a motion?
I move that we approve the 2019 agreement between the town of Wolfeboro and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, local number 534, as submitted.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Now we're on to the warrant articles.
The insurance.
And the warrant, and what we need to do. We have gotten today emailed out to everybody a new copy. Do you have other? Okay, I'm going to bring Matt up on this one. He has been working with Mark Puffer to get some of the final, our attorney.
Thank you.
This is what you gave me.
Okay. And we're going to go through, and Matt, I'm going to let you take us through. There's some you want us to redo, and I'll just let you do that for us.
Sure, and I'm going to focus for the purposes of my discussion with you on the ones that I have amended, and you have seen both a track changes version and also sort of a changes accepted version. But I'm going to walk through each of these more material changes for you this evening. And these are based on both staff review and conversation with Mark Puffer as well. So legal counsel comments are incorporated. I'm going to go through these amendments first, and then I'm going to quickly cover what articles I believe need to be reapproved or re-voted on this evening based on material changes that were made. So to start off, we obviously were using numbers for these articles, but we should note that Articles 2 through 8 are in fact reserved at this time for Planning Board zoning amendments. So the warrant article numbers presented here should be accurate moving forward based on those 7 amendments that are being proposed by the Planning Board. As we move on to page number 2, actually page number 3, starting with Article 11, no substantive changes here, only to note that there's no tax impact for the 390 line project, $3.675 million project. That's something we typically put in the warrant to make it very, very clear that there's no tax impact. Any questions on that? Moving on to Pleasant Valley Road Bridge construction, Dave Ford and I did review this, and as well as Deb Zabkar and the interim manager. There were some conversations and questions about the funding amounts that were included here, and also some discrepancy between the narrative. What we've chosen to do ultimately is take a more conservative approach to the necessary funding on this proposed warrant article. You'll see that we've noted really all of the financial components here. The initial project cost of $1.38 million, the total raise and appropriation for 2019 being 1.24, of which the town tax impact will be $248,000. And the discrepancy there is the $140,000 that was raised in 2016 appropriations that's already been applied to the project. So I hope that this adds some clarity to this. Mark Puffer and I spent a good deal of time on it, and all of this is really pointing to the fact that this is an 80-20 match project with the state of New Hampshire. So are there any questions on that particular one?
These were, the appropriation of 140 was not a lapsing appropriation, right?
It was a lapsing appropriation, but it was done in 2016, expended in 2016. Okay, moving on to Article 13, just some very minor changes here. There are a couple of times with this statement, this is the second year of a special warrant article was used. That language is being taken out. Additionally, under Article 13, this is not a 2-year appropriation. It's a 1-year. It is a 2-year appropriation, but it was noted twice there, so we've removed one of those mentions under Article 13. Article 15, the dockside public restroom improvements. A few modifications here. The first of which that I'd like to note is that the cost estimate that we received from Milestone Construction for this project is $300,000. And as a result, we had to modify the request for this from $145,000 to $150,000 to actually match the quote that we had received. So that's a $5,000 change from what you've seen in the past. And again, this is supplementing the $150,000 that was appropriated in 2018 as part of Article 17. Those monies have been legally encumbered for the project by signing the contract with an escape clause of Milestone Engineering. And then lastly, you'll see the total appropriation is identified there as $300,000, and this is a second year of a special warrant article has been removed. Okay. Article 16, in discussion with Dave Ford, added some specificity to this, noting specifically that this is part of an NHDES administrative order requirement, including the following activities: engineering, permitting, pilot testing, and wetlands mitigation as required. So just adding some specifics to this to make it clear what we're using the monies for, and then removing, again, a statement about this being the second year of a special warrant article. No changes noted on Article 17, Article 18, Article 19. On Article 20, one note that I'd like to make is we recognize that in the narrative numbering here, you'll see this is a $125,000 appropriation to the Capital Reserve Fund. In original iterations, it actually said $175,000 in the narrative numbering. So we've simply amended that narrative numbering to say $125,000 to be deposited to the Capital Reserve Fund. On Article 21, no modifications there, but I would like to note that the Police Commission will be meeting in January to take final votes on this particular warrant article, in addition to 2 additional ones that I'll note in a second. And then the Police Commission vote will be added below to the different vote counts that you see there. Article 22, Cary Beach. The initial title for this, and as reviewed thus far, was Cary Beach Parking Lot / Septic System. One of the discussions that we have with the Budget Committee, and I believe the Board of Selectmen as well, is that we don't truly recognize what the solution will be at Cary Beach. So we really want to broaden this warrant article before we move forward and lock ourselves into what the project will be. So we've modified this to be Cary Beach Water Quality Study. I discussed this with Dave Ford, and you'll see below in the body of the warrant, we've added some specifics, but also taken some other language out. So it now reads, for the purpose of studying, engineering, and permitting a solution to environmental concerns related to water quality at Cary Beach. And we've taken out the reconstruction element because this is not a construction warrant article. And we've also taken out the parking lot and/or septic system because we recognize it may not be limited to those 2 specific things that are Cary Beach. Any questions? Article 23, no modifications. Article 24, no modifications there. Article 25, no modification. Under Article 26, there was some miscommunication, I think, about the method we were using here to fund these water quality improvements. It was noted initially as a capital reserve fund, but as part of the CIP discussion and subsequent discussions, we've made it pretty clear that this was not going to be a capital reserve contribution. So what I've done here is remove that and then taken out the to establish a water resources capital reserve account, so this will instead just be a one-time appropriation. I've also added out some specific language about consultants for design and permanent BMPs. Dave Ford advised that that will not be a part of this specific $50,000 appropriation, so we've taken that out. And then we've taken out the language at the end related to the trust fund because this will not be a capital reserve fund. Okay, moving to Article 27, no comments here. Article 28, this is another one that the Police Commission will take a vote on. You'll see there is a Police Commission vote in there, but they're actually going to take a revote just to make sure that they've covered that element. The Special Detail Fund, no comments there. Library to expend gift proceeds, no comments. 31, Keno, no comment there, and no comment on Article number 32. And if you have any questions before I move on to the revotes.
I do. On Article 29, the last sentence, it says this article is to amend 206 Article 23, which limit the expenditure from the fund to providing police special details. And I didn't understand that this warrant article in any way would change or amend the 2006 article, that this was a one-time request to remove funds for a different purpose. And I was wondering whether we could remove that line.
Yeah, and I discussed this with Chief Pinio, and we had a great discussion about how to potentially reword this. So I think what I'd like to recommend is that we remove the last sentence, but in the third line of this, the proposed warrant, it reads, revenue in the special detail revolving loan fund. I'd like to suggest adding right after that, created in 2006 as part of Article 23, comma. So it would essentially read, appropriate the sum of $52,721, which represents a portion of accumulated revenue in the special detail revolving loan fund, created in 2006 by Article 23, which has been allowed to accumulate from special details in prior years. Does that wording?
That's fine. It just you got rid of the word amend.
Yeah, and I just wanted to tie it back to the initial article so we have a good record of that.
The article in 2006 is not to be amended. It stands.
Right. So with that, I can identify, I have 8 articles that I would recommend that the board either take your vote on or re-vote on, and I can go in order if you'd like me to, and you can just follow through the amended changes I've given you. The first of these is obviously the Pleasant Valley Road Bridge. We've made some amendments to the amounts there and also the order of the language.
Okay, so we need a motion that we vote to approve Article 12, Pleasant Valley Road Bridge reconstruction.
Referencing the December 28th red line document that you have here.
I have January 1, 2019 document.
I would. So what I would do is referencing the most. It's going to be amended after this evening's session as well. So you can call it a January 2nd, 2019 version.
So is the 28th and the 2nd the same words?
Yes.
Thank you.
So we're going to approve. All those in favor of voting to recommend Article 12? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So that'll be 5-0. Okay.
The second, and this may be out of procedure here, but Article 14, the operating budget. I'm not sure if you vote on that typically at this point in the process, but that is one that is lacking a vote of the Board of Selectmen. You may also wish to take that vote after the Budget Committee has its final public hearing.
I think that's generally what we do because we don't have, there's no set number in here.
Right. Okay.
So we need to put that on the agenda for that. Thank you. Okay.
Article 15, which is the dockside public restroom improvements. This is the change in the number and also the encumbrance that we've done.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we recommend Article 15, dockside public restroom improvements. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's 5-0. You want 16 too?
Yep, let me just catch myself right here. Yeah, I would recommend also redoing 16, although it's not really a material change, just adding the specifics of engineering, permitting, pilot testing, and wetlands mitigation. I would recommend you revote that, just to be clear.
Somebody want to make a motion to revote that?
So move.
To recommend?
Second.
Second? Yep. Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That gives us a 5-0.
Okay, Article 22, the Cary Beach water quality study. Just some word-in changes here.
Move, do we approve that?
Second? Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
5-0.
Okay, Article 26, water quality improvements. This is the modification to a one-time appropriation versus capital reserve.
Move to approve?
Second. Brad will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
It's a 5-0. We just did the ASME contract.
Yep, so Article 28, the NEPA contract, you haven't voted on that as far as I understand it.
You did?
Article what?
28?
I thought we did. I thought we did. The police union contract?
I thought we did it at a board meeting, but let's take care of it now.
I would
Then there'll be no.
Do it again.
I think we found in the minutes that it had not been voted on technically in the
Move to
minutes.
approve Article 28.
I'll second that. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All righty. Okay.
That's all I have.
All right, man.
All right, do we need to do Article 29, because we just changed and took a
Probably be
sentence out of
wise.
that?
Yeah, maybe not a material change, but probably wise to do it, yeah.
I'll make a motion that we recommend Article 29, Special Detail Fund.
As amended.
Second.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 5-0. That does it?
All right, thank you.
We're going to be done with this?
Good.
Okay, beautiful.
Done.
All right, the next item on the agenda is to move insurance proceeds to the 2014 wastewater capital reserve fund.
Dave Ford, Director of Public Works. So we had over a year or so ago, when we were planning on doing work on a sludge building, the snow collapsed the roof.
Yeah.
And so we had an insurance claim, and we received a check for $50,000. That didn't get deposited into that fund, which I thought it was. And so when I wrote a PO, there was not enough money there. That started sometime around September. And we've been kind of trying to figure out how to deal with that. So right now, I think we figured out legally, if you vote tonight, put that money into that fund, then I'll come with a purchase order for there's like $52,000 for doing additional work on the sludge building, and we can then issue the PO. Because right now, we're saying all capital reserve are going to come to the board when we decide to make a purchase order. So hopefully next meeting, we can have that in your packet and see if we can get that approved.
And it's for $50,000.
It's approximately. There
Okay,
is a specific
it
number.
says $49,654.87.
It's a very specific amount.
Okay.
And then once
Okay.
we get this job completed, there's another $5,000 holding out there, but we can't do it until we complete the job. So there's some more insurance money we might get after this, and we'll have to do the same thing for that one, I would imagine.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions or concerns for Mr. Ford? So I will make a motion that we move $49,654.87 from the the sewer enterprise fund over to the 2014 wastewater treatment plant capital reserve fund.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Beautiful. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a request from our welfare director, and she is here tonight.
Good evening. Amy Capone Muccio, the welfare director. So you all have my email. I have an unusual request. It doesn't happen very often, but I'm asking to waive the fee for a plot in the town cemetery for someone who essentially is unable to, or does not have any family or anyone to take care of this for him. So another example of partnering with the community is St. Catherine's Drexel is also helping in some of the costs and providing a decent end of life for this person.
Okay. Board members, does anybody have any questions or concerns? Dave?
Is this are they asking in the old section or the new section?
I haven't determined. I need to work on that and look and see where we're going to provide that. So I haven't determined that
yet. We have
yet.
had those requests before in the old section.
It's wherever I can find a place.
Okay, fine.
I can let you know when I figure out which one.
Board member, anybody else have any questions or concerns? I'm pleased that you have multiple, agencies with the partnership. We've already applied all our welfare money, and I think that's about 1,300. Is it, or what is it for burial?
For a burial lot?
No, for what we.
Oh, for a cremation. Well, the maximum we pay for a cremation is $1,000.
It's 1,000.
Yeah, and depending on where. You can negotiate with the funeral homes, but in this case, the church helped with the other portion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we also are going to see if the trustees of the trust fund can do a basic marker, so we're all kind of chipping in here.
And St. Catherine's is going to provide the obituary services and the church services and all that for their cost.
Is there anybody else who have any comments or questions? Hearing none, is somebody willing to make a motion?
I move that we waive the burial plot fee proposed by the Welfare Department.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the taping of the warrant articles. At this particular time, there's a tentative date of January 15th, and I don't know what the board schedule is like, whether we can make that or the staff able to have a presentation together that early for us.
That's fine with me.
I'm good with that date.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Dave Bowers?
Okay here.
I'm okay. So we'll book it. All right. So the taping of the warrant articles, you'll get it to us at least 2 days before, just so we can, or over that weekend, just so we can at least look through it. So January 15th at 3 o'clock at the Community TV studios up at the high school. Okay, does anybody have any old business? And I'll do mine under old business. I was going to do it under committee reports, but it really isn't a committee report. On December 31st, last night, Wolfeboro took place. We had up here in the Great Hall from 10 to 2. We had Balloon Man over in that corner. We had games throughout, some food. We had a scavenger hunt, and we had about 200 participants in that. Then over at the Congregational Church, we had Just Bob and Marlo, and we had 100 participants at that event. Then we came back here and had Tricky Dick the Magician, and we had 224 participants back here. We were running bingo back over at the church, and we had about 100 over there. We came back here and had wildlife encounters. It was an animal show. We had 300 participants here. We ran the Contra dance, and that had about 60 participants. We did team games over at Brewster, and we had 30 during the games, but we only had 7 at the dance. So in total, we had about 960 plus participants, and we got those numbers by trying to count how many were in the room. So there's a good chance that we had more. And it was a great time, beautiful fireworks. We couldn't have asked for a better night, but it was a real success, and it was nice to see this room used as a community space, and so many people involved. So, does anybody else have any other old business? Any other business?
I don't know if it's old business, but,
sure,
but it's business.
Whatever business.
So we just approved a set of minutes, and in the minutes was a reference of we need to take a peek at the enterprise allocation methodology. So I want to make sure we don't lose track of that one. I don't know where to park it, Madam Chairman, but that one needs to get looked at. And we also approved minutes where we look with great anticipation for the net metering research or study that MED was going to launch for us, and I just don't want to lose track of that one either.
So why don't we let's get through the taping.
Oh, yeah.
Let's park it. Shall we start trying to work on those in the beginning of February?
I think it would be kind of nuts to work on those things until we get through all the budget stuff that we got to get through.
Okay.
This is just running the business, but I just don't want to lose track of that.
Okay, you put it in your notes, I'll put it in my notes, and we'll try not to lose track of that. Thank you for doing that, Paul. The acting town manager, is there any kind of report you would like to give us tonight?
Just to update you on a couple things. A purchase order and contract was signed with Milestone Construction. We needed to do that immediately in order to encumber those funds legally for warrant Article 15 this year. So that's done. There is an escape clause, as Matt had alluded to, and that is contingent on the passing of this warrant article. We also signed a purchase order and a contract with White Mountain Cable out of Epsom, New Hampshire, to decommission, take down the remaining fire alarm cable. They have until May 10th, I believe, to complete that work. And lastly, I'd like to thank Matt Sullivan, Dave Ford, and Deb Zabkar. The amount of work that happened over the past 2 days to get this warrant in play was pretty amazing to watch those people all work together. So I'd like to just thank them publicly for their hard work.
We'll thank them, too, for us. Next item on the agenda is committee reports. I'll start with Paul.
Yep, Police Commission, and I thought they took a vote, Matt, but it wasn't really a vote, so I understand why you want to revote this thing. But Police Commission meeting, Energy Master Plan session, looks like we're going to land it this week, maybe tomorrow. Finish it up, that would be good. Also, Town Energy Committee meeting. We got a lot of work to think about doing in terms of educating our folks about some of the really exciting things that are going on in energy conservation, not only throughout the country, but now particularly in the state of New Hampshire. There's some fun things that we ought to get, pardon the pun, plugged into. So those are the only 3 things I've been doing other than attending Board of Selectmen meetings.
Dave?
Well, as you heard, we've had plenty of Board of Selectmen's meetings lately. I also took part in a complete day of shelter training up at the Kingswood Arts Center with there was 21 people at that thing. It was very interesting. I learned quite a bit in one day. It was a very good day. That's all I have.
Yeah, other than all the selectmen's meetings, I haven't had any other committee meetings that I've made. I did miss the hazard mitigation meeting we had back in December there, and due to illness and stuff, and Jim's going to let me know when the next one is so we can continue on with that one. I did want to announce that on Tuesday, the 15th of January, Wolfeboro Community TV will be having their annual meeting at 8 a.m. at the studio, which has always been extended out to the Board of Selectmen to attend and stuff, and the town manager and stuff too. So if you folks would like to come to that, we'd love to have you up there. That's actually the same day we're going to be doing the taping later that afternoon. So other than that, that's all I got.
What I had is I got to spend from 8:30 in the morning until 9:30 at night on December 31st here manning last night Wolfeboro, and with all the other meetings we have, I was surprised I was successful in pulling off Christmas for my family. So, all righty.
Enjoy the holiday, attend lots of meetings, and Happy New Year to everybody.
Okay. Are there any questions from the press? Okay. Next on the agenda is public input, limited to 3 minutes per residence and not to exceed 15 minutes in total. Maggie.
Hi. Maggie Steer, Heritage Commission. I just wanted to, as a courtesy, update you that we will be going to the budget hearing tomorrow requesting $500 be added for the Heritage Commission. We haven't had funding before, but we are at an important point with the recommendations that are being made through the master plan and several other public buildings in flux, monitoring of barn easements that we have, that I really want to ramp up the effectiveness of the Heritage Commission. So I'm requesting that this $500 be broken down into preservation planning handbooks, 8 at $25 each for all of our committee members and alternates, and $300 for our members to attend the spring preservation training conference in Concord. Any questions about that?
Yeah, and I want to get a consensus of the board. There is no budget for in the 2019 budget, so I am wondering whether the board would feel comfortable that it be added to our miscellaneous line. Is the board
I would support
comfortable with that?
I support that very strongly.
Could I address that particular issue?
Suzanne's an alternate.
Yep.
Yep. Thank you. I spoke with Michelle Clark, who's our representative to the DRA, and asked how we could go about this. And where we were established under a land use provision, 673:4A, we fit nicely into local land use board. And quite frankly, she said the amount of money that you'd be asking for is so minimal that we'd never pick it up no matter where you put it, under whatever line. It just wouldn't be seen as any discrepancy that's not illegal or wrong. But she suggested that it go into the 4193 planning and zoning under the that budget. And I know it's all broken down into subcategories, that's for heading, but if it could be put in there.
Okay, I was thinking that the Board of Selectmen, you can go to the Budget Committee at any one, but we have a miscellaneous expense line, which we also could try to drop it under. And I just want to get a consensus of the board that they're comfortable with this. Is the board comfortable with?
I am.
Dave is?
Yep, I am.
I am. Paul?
Yeah, I just have a question. I mean, and I'm not trying to do background surgery here, but did you not get a request for a budget? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought my voice was loud enough. Did you not get a request to submit a budget?
That's right. We did not get a request. We have not had funding since our creation in 2016.
Yeah.
So we were not notified.
All right. I had another committee Madam Chairman, raise a similar question. So I'm fine with it.
Well, we need to do, if you know of some, and we know this, that we need to make sure that on next year's list, they get
Right.
that information.
Yeah, I agree.
Good point. I think it's important that we do that. I'm comfortable putting it either if in the miscellaneous of the Board of Selectmen or a land use line that's appropriate. And a bunch of us will probably be there tomorrow, so.
Yep.
Okay? You're welcome. Anybody else?
Good evening. My name is Josephine Amatucci. When I'm speaking to the public. However, I'm also telling the Board of Selectmen that this is under my right to redress my grievances. Now, I'm wondering if I could have 2 pages.
You got 3 minutes. That's what you have.
No, this is redressing my grievances. Now, you just talked and answered all their questions. You have never answered any of my questions. Never.
Josephine,
I am going under my right to redress my
you
grievances.
can get into an argument with me and take up your 3 minutes.
This is to let the public know what happens in this town when you accuse the police of misconduct. In August 2013, I went inside the police station to ask the former police chief, Stuart Chase, to investigate the former police officer, James O'Brien's misconduct. I had evidence that O'Brien committed a felony crime. Police Chief Chase refused to investigate, and Dean Rondeau was present. In August 22nd, in retaliation for my accusing a police officer of misconduct, Dean Rondeau, in a conspiracy with a Wakefield police officer, accused me of driving erratically at the Lake Wentworth State Park in Wolfeboro. And he wrote to the Department of Safety, asking that they retest me, as he stated that I was a threat to the safety of the public, with his intentions of having my license to drive revoked in retaliation. However, by the grace of God, I was able to prove to the Department of Safety that I was not in Wolfeboro that day, and proved that I was in a Massachusetts bank at that time, and I had a deposit slip to prove this. At the same time when I was supposed to be driving erratically in New Hampshire. I did not have to be retested. Rondeau committed a criminal attempt crime, which says that even though Rondeau was not successful in having my license to drive revoked, the criminal attempt claim works the same as if he was successful, which is a 4th and 14th Amendment violation of my civil rights, a felony crime of perjury with a malicious intent to have my license revoked. And they made him a police chief. On May 7th, I went inside the police station and spoke with Police Chief Stuart Chase about filing a complaint against Rondeau, and Rondeau was present. I tried to give my written complaint to Chase, but he threw it back at me. He would not accept it. I have the video. And instead, Chase went berserk after I showed him my evidence. Then in retaliation, and with his finger in my face, Chase threatened me and stated that if I accuse his men of misconduct, he will get me and arrest me on the spot. And then he pushed me out the door. I have the video. Before I left, I told Chase I was going to the town hall to tell the selectmen of his threats and assault against me. At the town hall, I spoke with Ann Marble, the town manager's secretary, and I explained to her what Chase did to me in the police station, and I told her I was afraid for my safety, and I had to tell the selectmen of the incident. But Ann Marble told me the selectmen and the town manager were in court in Concord and not available at that time. I must state at this point that when I was telling Ann Marble what happened in the police station with Chase, the finance director, who has a desk next to Miss Marble, was leaving for lunch, and he heard the conversation. And before going to lunch, he had gone in the back building of the town hall to tell Rob Hausman, who was the acting town manager that day, about what was going on in the manager's office, that I was complaining about Police Chief Chase.
Josephine, I've just given you 5 minutes.
As I'm going to finish this, I'm halfway through.
Well, you guys,
I'll give you
one more minute.
Hausman appeared. As I was near the door leaving the office, Hausman appeared, and in retaliation for my complaining about Chafe, Rob Hausman grabbed me by the arm and pushed me into an empty room. This is an assault and a false imprisonment, of which Hausman was eventually terminated. I got him.
Josephine, you're done. You've had about 6 minutes, so put a line and come back and tell us next time the rest of it. Thank you.
I hope she didn't take any of my 3 minutes.
No, I'll let you have your 3, but no more than 3.
Okay. Regarding the town manager, I know you're limited as to what you can say. However, I would like to let you know that on 12/20 of 2018, I received from a department head a email that said, FYI, my last day working for the town is 12/28/18. Going forward, please contact my assistant. And then on 12/27/18, I received an auto reply from the Selectmen's office. Please be advised, Becky Merrow is no longer the Wolfeboro town manager, and the interim is Mr. Pino. No longer the town manager. Didn't say out on administrative leave. So if there was any confusion, I say it started there. I'm rising in support of the person that you unanimously hired 7 or 8 months ago. A breath of fresh air, a great management style from the public's view, attention to detail, polite, determined, hardworking. As a citizen and taxpayer, I observed a strong management style. What I'm asking now is that whatever resolve you've got going, that when she comes back, you let her manage. It's a different style of management than what the town has been accustomed to. But as one that observes and been part of committees, I welcome it, and I think the public does. And I think the public is concerned that so soon she's on leave. Bring her back as soon as possible. Support her different style, support her different ways, and let it be known that there are those that appreciate how hard she worked to get up to speed. She came on at a very awkward time when there are other departments also that are losing people and training people. So please just take that in consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to give public input?
Hello, Brenda Jarrett. I'm from Longstack Lane with my husband, Doug Breskin, and I served with Linda at the last night Wolfeboro event. It was your third New Year's Eve event, and my first as a volunteer on the committee. And I just want to say how wonderful it was and what an honor it was to be part of the committee to help plan the event and produce the event. It was a marvelous day to see so many people filling this room and our other venues, And also, we need to find out how many people were at the lasagna dinner at
Yes,
the
I don't
church
have
as
that
well.
yet. Yep.
Right. And I would say we certainly hit 1,000 people. And I kept hearing the thank yous from grandmas, grandpas, children, and moms and dads saying, thank you for doing this. Thank you for having this free event for all of us. And we do want to thank all of our sponsors that helped support this event, the economic development money that was budgeted as well for this event, and Parks and Recreation. Christine Collins and her staff were just wonderful from the get-go, and the committee was all about, yes, let's make it happen and let's make it be a wonderful day and a wonderful way to end 2018. So as a new resident to Wolfeboro, I was honored again to be part of the committee. My family, my husband helped me as well, and we're just so happy to be part of the community, and hopefully we'll be part of many more committees and more events in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I need a motion to go into non-public under 91A:3 2C.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Paul?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Yes.
Ed? Yes. Dave?
Yes.
Okay.